Hello and welcome to my Iron Keep walkthrough. This video idea was suggested to me in a comment. If you have any suggestions of your own, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. With that out of the way, let's begin the walkthrough. As you can see, I was just in the Earthen Peak elevator. As soon as you exit that and head down this corridor, you'll be in Iron Keep. Head to the left and you'll find the first bonfire of this area. We can see there's an item in the lobby here, and there will be more like this throughout the area. I'll show you how to get those at the end of the video. If you want to skip straight to that, you can use the timestamps in the description. To the right of the bonfire you can see there is a path of rocks you can jump on. This is another one of those lava areas that we'll tackle at the end of the video. Now we will head down the middle path and meet our first Elan Knight. These guys are pretty easy to backstab, and that's what I would really recommend you do. Now, as you can see, the weapon I'm using is the Greatsword. I recommend it because it has a long range and can easily stagger enemies. You can buy one from Vengarl in the Shaded Woods, or you can find one in a chest in No Man's Wharf. So once we come over here, we'll see that we're getting invaded. There are actually two invasions in the same spot, so we're going to go ahead and kill this guy, Armorer Dennis. Again, I would recommend backstabbing. As you can see here, there's nothing on these little stair paths. After defeating Armorer Dennis, I would recommend you just rest at the bonfire and go back to that area. That way you can get both invasions out of the way. Okay, so the second invasion is Fencer Sharon. There isn't really any specific advice I can give on these two invaders, but just in general, invasions will become pretty trivial if you can get good at stun locking your opponent. Even if you don't like to use heavy weapons like the Greatsword that can easily stagger enemies, you might just want to have one you're comfortable with in your inventory, that way you can switch to it if you get invaded. The next room has a couple of Elan Knights. One of them is standing on a ledge above you and has a great bow. Usually that one jumps down to fight you as well. There's an item up there. We'll get that soon, but first let me show you this. You might be tempted to get this item even if you die to the flames, but later on in the video, I'll show you how to turn off these flaming bullheads so that we can get this item safely. So now I would recommend coming down this way, and there's going to be an NPC merchant right here.
What? Who, me? What?
Selecting the incense option will allow you to lower the intelligence and or faith requirements of your spells. As you can see on screen, you will need Simpleton and or Skeptic spices to do this. He does sell some pretty useful items. I would buy the Jester's Tights because it reduces fall damage, just like the Silver Cat Ring. And I would also buy the Jester's Gloves because that acts like the Silver Serpent Ring and increases the amount of souls you get. Other than that, I would also buy the Fragrant Branch of Yore he has, because those are always good to have, and once you spend 10,000 souls in his shop and talk to him,
I think we have similar taste. Really? I do. Here, you should like these.
he'll give you the covetous Gold Serpent Ring +1. He will also drop the ring if you kill him, but he will not drop the Fragrant Branch, so make sure to buy that first. Also, later in the game, you can get an item from the Dragon Shrine to give to him, and he will become a Covenant leader. That, combined with his ability to incense your spells, makes him a pretty useful NPC. These stairs will bring you to the room that Archer was in. Now we can get that item we saw before. It's a Pharos Lockstone. We will be using these bull pots later, but for now, let's find the illusory wall that's here. This will take us into a room with a ballista, and that really isn't too helpful in my opinion, but you can get some fire arrows here as well. And then there's another illusory wall. Sneak up on this guy from behind or shoot him with the ballista. And this room right here is the room adjacent to this one with the flaming bull. Now that we got all that done, we're going to continue into the next room. The first thing we're going to do is head straight down this path. Now, obviously you can see I'm getting hit by some arrows and stuff. I would say watch out for those. If you're having a tough time with these enemies or you're just getting ganked, you can retreat back into this room. That way you have some cover from the arrows while you take out the knights that are chasing you. So this is an Alon Knight Captain. I like to shoot him with pyromancies from below because once you shoot him enough, he will fall off the side and just die. Now you can fall down here where this ladder is and get this item right here. Soul of a Proud Knight and a repair powder. Once we climb up this ladder, we'll reach that ledge that the Alon Knight Captain was on. You can get shot with arrows from up here, so be aware of that. Life ring +1 and a twinkling titanite. From here, you can just fall back down to the path that we were on before. See how this door is kind of steaming? If you open this door, you'll instantly die from the flames that are inside that room. So I would pull this lever right here, and that's going to lower one side of that path. Now the next thing I would do right here is jump down to this item. Then you can come down onto this ledge, turn this rotating wheel, and as you can see from the window right here, it'll stop the flames in that room. On this path below, we can see that there's another chest, but we will get that later. For now, go down to this path right here. And this is where the second lever is. And this will fully bring down that path from above, and now you can walk across it and walk back from it. Now you can open this door safely as well. Large titanite shard, petrified dragon bone. If you hit these steaming half pillar things, they will explode, so you could be careful of that. There's an Alon Knight Captain. These guys also are really easy to backstab. And they give you a good amount of souls. Right here, old radiant life gem, green blossom. And now we can actually skip the first boss of this area if you really wanted to, as well as drop back down to the ledge we were on over there. This path will take you further into the Iron Keep, and on the other side of this door is a bonfire. We cannot open it from this side, so we'll have to fight the optional boss to get to it. You can see that Lucatiel Mira can be summoned right here, but we're not going to summon her yet. Again, I would recommend backstabbing. Now that we've killed all the enemies on this path, we're going to jump over on that ledge over there. It's a little tight, but you can make it. Petrified dragon bone. Now we're going to come up here. We get another metal chest. Okay, and we got a Zweihander. Now you can come here and use the Ferrous Lockstone contraption, and out of this will pour healing water. So you can use this if you want to conserve Estus or heal before the boss fight. So that is pretty useful. Also, if you roll in the water, your fire defense will go up. So as you can see, it's pretty high right here. It will also decrease your lightning defense, so watch out for lightning attacks from the Alon Knight Captains. We are going to summon Lucatiel of Mira for this fight. You don't have to, but if you want to progress her questline, you have to summon her for 3 out of the 4 bosses that she is summonable for, and she has to survive the fight. Now, this boss is going to be the Smelter Demon. I believe he is weak to magic, so we can use the Aromatic Ooze to put a magic buff on our weapon. This boss has a very high fire defense, so I wouldn't recommend using any fire attacks against him. Also, he does have 3 phases of his fight, The first stage, he will do pure physical damage with his weapon. In the second stage, he will have this flame aura around him, which will do damage to you if you're nearby him. You can offset this with life gems. I'm wearing the Ring of Restoration, and that helps out as well. This is what his third phase looks like. He'll put his sword into his flaming aura, and now he's doing 100% fire damage. If you have a shield that blocks 100% of fire damage, I would recommend using that. Otherwise, you could just dodge his attacks, or just tank them like me. Okay, with Smelter Demon out of the way, now we can climb up this staircase right here, and this will take us to that bonfire I was talking about. Now we can open this door, and this is the door that we couldn't open from the other side. As you can see, we're in the same place. First, let's pick up what's in this chest right here. Now if you rest at the bonfire and then go back into the Smelter Demon's arena, a pursuer will spawn, and you can fight him. He will drop the Ring of Blades +1. I would recommend, once you have a significant amount of souls, that you go back to Majula, level up, or buy whatever items you need to get, and then head back to the area. That way you're not risking the amount of souls you just got. Then you can just take out these two right here. This ironclad warrior will take out the bridge below him if you let him hit it enough. If you don't and just kill him quickly like I just did, then you can prevent that from happening. But even if he does, it's no big deal because you can just jump over it. Now once we come out of here, these guys will be pretty aggressive. Now what you can do is pull this lever, and this will lower the middle area of that metal platform section and kill the enemies on it. That will also lower this archer right here, but he's not too much of a problem. Now we're going to go in this door right here. Here is another Pharaoh's contraption. This one will allow you to break open this wall. The area it unlocks is completely optional, so you can skip this if you like, or just come back later if you don't have a lockstone. Now once we go up here and up this ladder, we will find a chest. Okay, we got the Thunder Quartz Ring +1. After you pick that up, we can drop down to this ledge right here. You will not be able to go back, but there is a bonfire here, so you could just warp to the other bonfires if you want. This will take us to the next area, which is a very small area. It's called Belfry Soul. You can talk to this guy and join the Bellkeeper Covenant if you like. There will be a couple of enemies here. They're not too difficult. There are also a lot of ballistas, but I don't think they're too useful. Okay, so now that we killed a couple of the enemies, I can show you that there's a summon sign right here. So you can summon this guy. You do not have to, of course. This guy might give you a bit of an issue because he's also using the greatsword and can definitely stagger you. Also, you'll get invaded by the Bellkeeper here, I believe, if you're not part of the Bellkeeper Covenant. This guy's also not too much of an issue, but he does have a bit of health. But once you take him out, you'll get a couple souls, and of course we'll get the human effigy. The next thing we're going to do is ring the bell by pulling this lever. This will open a gate for us in the section above this. Next, you can get a Simpleton Spice right here. This ladder will take you to a rooftop. The first enemy is a crossbow guy. After killing him, go down to the right and you can pick up another simpleton spice. If you head to the other side of the roof and fall off the ledge, you can head back and rest at the bonfire if you like. And most of these phantom enemies do not respawn, so you won't have to refight them. The little bellkeeper dolls do respawn though. Next is another phantom with a greatsword. Now you're going to drop down from this little ledge and take out these two bellkeepers. If you want to go back, there's a ladder right here. We'll pick up this item, the simpleton spice. Now we're almost done with the area, we're just going to get this metal chest. Okay, that's a pyromancy immolation. And now we're going to come back here and we looped right back around into Iron Keep. There is an illusory wall right here, so be sure not to miss that. Because if you fall down right here, you'll have to go all the way through Belfry Soul again. Here we can get the Black Knight Greatsword. And a chime and a shield. After that, drop down. You could sit at that bonfire again and then warp back to the last one, or you could just fall down right here and then go through the door like I am to head back to the previous bonfire. So keep in mind that the enemies do stop respawning once you kill them 12 times in this game, so you could just kill them over and over again if you're having a really tough time. Okay, so now that we're back here, we could do that trick by pulling the lever again like I showed you before. Also, instead of fighting them, you could lure the enemies onto these little platforms here, and then press this little lever in the middle of this path right here, and they will fall down into the lava as well. You can do this to a bunch of the enemies here, so feel free to do that. If you do use these little switches, then be careful not to fall into the lava yourself. But anyway, we don't have to do that to this guy because we can just backstab him. Now once you come to this side, you'll see there are a bunch of flaming bulls. You can attract this ironclad guy and just let the fire kill him. So yeah, you can do that. This item right here is a large soul and a monastery charm. Now before we head into the fog wall right there, we're going to head back this way. To our right there is another molten rock / lava section down there, but we're not going to do that yet. So now we can pull this lever and this will actually unlock another path for us. Kill this archer guy. Beware of the flames because they can definitely hurt you and kill you. Also, don't forget this item right here. I almost forgot to get it. And watch out for arrows because they can push you off like this. As I was heading back to that room, I got invaded by Forlorn. This is not a guaranteed invasion like Armorer Dennis or Fencer Sharon. Basically, there is a % chance that the Forlorn can invade you. If you're trying to get them to spawn, I would just run around in this spot and rest at the bonfire over and over again. We happened to get lucky and they did invade us. Okay, so we got an extra 6,000 souls. This item is a soul. There is a Titanite lizard near the archer that's shooting at us. I'll show you that at the end of the video when we're doing that lava section. Since we pulled that lever and lowered the metal platform, we also lowered this ladder, which allows us to access this upper area. There are 2 Alonanites up here. As long as you beware of the arrows from below, you should be fine. Now when you come over here to try to get this chest, there will be another invasion, Oliver the Collector. 10 destructive great arrows. Be careful about this guy because he can destroy all your armor and rings if he hits you. Of course, you can also stun lock him, although he is pretty tanky. Just like that, another invader down. Now we can climb up this next ladder. And this will take us to another Pharaoh's contraption. This one creates a healing pool of water, just like the first one we saw in this area. Once you head up these stairs, there will be 3 Alonanite captains. They will try to shoot arrows at you, but they're not that accurate and they're pretty slow. After we pick up these Titanite shards and fire arrows, we can get the Black Knight Great Axe and the Simpleton Spice. Now this could be a little tricky, but just go slow and be careful. And we just need to platform until we're down on the lower level. You can also get a cracked red eye orb and a torch on the way down. Okay, now that we're here, you might be able to see it, but there's an item in that pot of lava right there. Do not try to jump into the lava, you will instantly die. So what you have to do is jump onto the side of this pot, and then you can walk right around carefully and pick up the item. And it's the covetous gold serpent ring, the regular version, not the +1 version. So you don't even have to get this if you already picked up the one from the merchant, but it won't hurt to have two versions of the same ring on hand, just in case one breaks, and you could also just sell it later. You can take out these Elan Knights, or you can just drop down to the staircase below, and they'll just follow you. Now if we come over here, you'll see this fog wall, and it says traverse the mist from behind, because this is the mist that we skipped from before. So yeah, as you can see, we're right here. You don't have to go back into this room, I just wanted to show you that. To progress, head down that staircase and into the next hall. There will be another ironclad warrior guy. I would recommend just taking him out with ranged attacks, since this is a pretty tight hallway. Now there is this guillotine thing right here. This will kill you if you're underneath it, but it can also kill enemies. The timing is a little difficult to get right, so as you can see, I just killed him with ranged attacks as well. Now, go past the guillotine into this room with a lot of bullheads. We're going to leave that item right there. Just run to this little ladder right here. It's a little hard to see, so you might miss it. You can hit this circular statue and it will rotate. There's no real reason to do this unless you're fighting somebody in this room. Climbing up here will bring you to the final bonfire of the area. And once you pull this lever, all the flaming bulls will be turned off. And now we can pick up this item no problem. It's a lightning short bow +1. Don't forget, there was another item below a flaming bullhead near the first bonfire. So warp there, make your way back to the bull, and you can pick up the item. And it is the Iron Key. This unlocks a door in the Forest of Fallen Giants. If you want to use it, warp to the Cardinal Tower bonfire. Head down the ladder. Then take the elevator that would bring you to the last giant boss fight. The door is in this corridor on the left. The area beyond this door has some useful items, especially the key that will allow you to access the Crown of the Old Iron King areas. Now that I showed you that, let's continue what we were doing in Iron Keep. The path beyond this room with the bulls will take us to the next boss fight. You can come over here and summon Manhunter O'Hara. She is pretty cool, but I don't think she is that useful for this boss fight. This boss can be a little tough, but once you learn its patterns, then it's pretty easy. More so than most bosses, in my opinion. Okay, so once you start the fight, he'll walk over here, so you can use some ranged attacks on him while he's walking here if you want. Fire, of course, doesn't do too much damage to him. Now, the key to this is basically just dodging his attacks until he becomes vulnerable. So, after certain attacks, he'll leave his hands in place, and that will give you an opening to hit him. So now that we got that done, we're almost done with the area. Okay, we gotta petrify something. Awesome, I love getting those. First, let me show you this. So of course this is Scholar of the First Sin edition. There are these snake statues. If you examine this one, it'll warp you to the Broom Tower, and you'll need that key I mentioned earlier from the Salamander Pit. That's where we use the Iron Key in the Forest of Fallen Giants. By the way, lighting all 4 primal bonfires will cause Aldia to appear. He's pretty cool, so talk to him. After that, you can head back to Majula to level up if you want. With that, we're almost done, so let's go get the items that are in the lava sections. First, I would attune a flashlight. You don't have to use it, but it is very useful. It will reduce the damage you take by a lot. If you don't already have it, you can buy it from Rosabeth of Melfia. Next, you're going to want to cover yourself in water. In this example, I'll be using the Pharos contraption to do this, but you can also use the bull pots we saw earlier. The flame defense that the water gives you lasts about a minute, so quickly head back. The water's effect stacks with flash sweat. As you can see, the damage I'm taking is very minimal, and we got the human effigy that's here. For the next lava section, I'll use the bull pots in the room that had the archer and the illusory wall. After using flash sweat, I'm going to roll through these pots to cover myself in the water they were holding. Flash sweat lasts a little longer than the water effect, so that's why I used it first. This section requires a bit of platforming. Just be careful not to jump too late, because you can jump too far and miss the platforms. Remember, you can use Estus or life gems to offset the damage if you wish. As you can see, this item is 3 bonfire statics and 1 simpleton spice. I would recommend using a homeward bone here, but I didn't want the enemies I killed to respawn, so I just jumped back. Again, I'm going to use flash sweat and the pots to raise my flame defense. After that, head to the big room that had a lot of knights in it. So once you're on this middle platform, you can just drop down to the steps right here. Then you can just run to this chest, which has a shield in it. You will take damage while in the chest opening animation, and by the way, the lava also does damage to your equipment. As you can see, my second dragon ring was at risk, so be mindful of that if you're going to wear anything fragile. Next, head to the room with the lever and all the switches. I would recommend you take out this archer guy with range attacks so he doesn't give you a problem. Then, of course, use flash sweat and the pots that are in this room. On the way, pick up this item. Hitting these switches will cause lava to flow down into these crevices, so you can avoid those if you want. So now we can walk over here. We're going to get a fire seed. You can see here I'm activating a life gem, just so we can regain some health. Again, we're going to get hurt during this chest animation. And we got the Chaos Storm Pyromancy. Now I'm going to use a homeward bone and head back to this room to show you the Crystal Lizard. As you can see, the Crystal Lizard is here on the path we just took. As I was taking out the archer, it must have noticed me and tried to run away, but died in the flowing lava. If this happens, you can just jump over the lava and carefully pick up what it dropped. Otherwise, I recommend killing it with ranged attacks. And with that, we can conclude our Iron Keep walkthrough. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.